All right. Hello, everyone. Happy post Christmas. Is that a thing? Hope you're all doing great. And thank you so much for listening to the Career Transition Podcast call in show, I'll say. So, just a little reminder around the vision of this show is to really make it accessible for people to be able to hop on, ask a question that's related to careers. I figure there's a lot of resources for people, whether they call in to ask a question about their finances or call in to ask a question about relationships, but there isn't a forum for people to ask questions about their career. And so this is where the idea came in, and I've been absolutely enjoying it. We got guests backstage waiting to ask me a question, and I will bring them in shortly so that we can get the show started. If you want to be my next guest and get this opportunity to get coached by me for free one-on-one, then I highly recommend you send me a DM. We have a waiting list all the way till basically January. So make sure that you seize the opportunity. Wonderful. So, our first guest is Jessie. Jessie, I'm going to bring you on stage. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. It's a little cold here, but otherwise can't complain. How's it going for
Yeah.
you? Is it cold where you're at?
I'm actually out visiting New York. I'm in the Finger Lakes area for the holidays. So it's in the 50s, but it's really dreary and kind of gross, but not
Yeah,
too cold.
it's pretty dark here and rainy, no snow. So
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
rainy Christmas.
That it has been.
Hey, Ava, how's it going, everyone? All right, so Jesse, let's get into it. I know that you have a question for me. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your ultimate goal is? If you had a magic wand and you could make anything happen, what would it be?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a product manager and I really enjoy that. I kind of fell into product management or like as my career progressed, I kind of, that's the route it took. And I'm really glad to be where I am. Um, but kind of taking a step back, my education is in geography. So I love geography, I love spatial, I love mapping. So when I think of like my ultimate career goal, it's working as a product manager, something in the spatial world where I can bring that. And I've been pretty lucky throughout my career to have some mapping or spatial awareness as part of my career. Working even at a company, Mapbox, for a while, and that was just absolutely amazing. And so to be able to stick in that industry and progress there would be really awesome. Now the hard part is it's a very niche industry, and there's not a lot of opportunity for that.
So what do you feel you're struggling with, or let's say not struggling with, but what's been tough to overcome?
I think there's 2 main things that I'm really struggling with. As I kinda mentioned, my career has just kind of organically progressed, right? Like I was doing GIS, I was mapping, and then that went into research and development. And then one of the things that I helped research and develop, we turned into a product and I took it into product management. So it's been very organic.
Mm.
Um, and so now that I'm currently unemployed, trying to I was laid off from a startup that I was working at, and I'm trying to, find that next step, that next career move, and I don't necessarily know where to go because everything's just kind of fell in place for me. I've worked really hard, but it's kind of organically grown. So I sit here and go, what's my 5-year plan? What would I'm like, I don't know. Do I want to be in product management? Do I want to be in operations? Do I want to be a technical product manager? I do know I don't care for the marketing side of product management. Um, my my English skills aren't great. I'm not a really great writer. Sometimes I, don't say things the most eloquently way that like you have to have in the marketing world. So I do know like that's one side I don't want to go to, but I don't really know where to go next. And then my second question would be, especially with the spatial geography kind of world in product management, how do I research and find those jobs, um, to make this next career move? Because it's really hard, well, I even, you're searching product management and I'm getting, production assistant or manager at a pizza place. I'm like, no, 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 that's not what I want. So I'm doing something wrong and I can't quite figure it out.
Okay, that's really good information to know. So I'm hearing two things. I don't know what to do next, and I don't know how to find the right opportunities. Okay.
Yes.
Um, so usually what I get people to do is to complete my career archetype quiz, which is a very comprehensive assessment that helps me understand a bit more about them, what brings the fire, in them, their communication style, the types of problems they enjoy solving, all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I'm just going to ask you a few questions from the quiz just to help me understand a little bit more about you.
Yep.
All right. So you said to me that you fell into product management.
Yep.
If you were to do it over again, would you have gotten into product management or not really?
I think I would have. I really enjoy it. I really love um, being handed a problem or finding a problem and trying to solve it, right? What is the best solution? How can we improve this for someone? I love that aspect of product management, like the ideation, like, okay, here, we're working with this and how, what do we do next? I love that piece of it. So I think I would. And again, where I'm talking about just kind of growing organically, even in college, I got to the point where they're like, "You can't register for more classes until you pick a major," because I had no idea what I wanted to do, and I think, I'm still kinda like that, but I'm really happy with the path my career has taken,
Yeah.
and I do enjoy the product management side of things.
Mm. What is your most favorite part of the entire product life cycle?
I think it's getting that problem and then working with the team to solve it, right? Coming up with, sitting in a room and coming up with, saying, here's the problem we're trying to solve. How do we solve it? What do we do? How do we get there? And then seeing that develop and seeing it progress. I just those little wins and making something better, making a product better. Um, I really, really enjoy.
Awesome. And what are
Yeah,
things
and
that you
I'll
enjoy about product management that you wish you could have delegated when you were playing the roles that you played?
I think the type of tasks for product managers I would delegate more, again, is around the marketing side. Okay, what's the value proposition? I don't mind doing the roadmaps. I like doing the roadmaps and, high level value proposition is, okay, but I really kind of struggle with that. And I could talk to you about my product and you'd be like, wow, that's so cool. I want to buy it or I'd love to see more. But to like put it on paper or in a PowerPoint, it's just that would be, where I would, hopefully like to lead people and then have people under me that would excel in that so I could be like, hey, let's delegate this, I'll work on this stuff, you guys can help me with this, trying to bring in people that where I see I lack.
Okay, that makes sense. So you enjoy something that I heard you say, and your face, lit up. Was you talked about? Oh, I love, working with the teams and helping them figure it out. So you really love to
Yes.
be hands on with your team.
Yes, very much so. And in the company I was just laid off from, I really enjoyed my role for the first kind of half of the time I was there. But then they kind of put me in this like strategic place
Mm,
to where I was trying to come up with like new ideas, but I was on my own all the time and I wasn't working with anyone. I didn't have a team per se. And I was so lonely. And I'm like, no, no, I don't like this. I wanna go with a team and like let's interview customers together or let's investigate or let's talk. Yeah, I really like the team environment.
amazing. And were you in a position where you were mentoring or coaching anyone?
I did have so I kinda came in as more of the product manager and it was a new product offering, and what I really enjoyed was, like, I came in and I was like, "Okay, it's not to be negative, but like, here's all the things that are wrong with this product. Here's all the things we need to fix to make it a better product. And I like kind of investigating and coming up with that. So then they put a product manager under me, and I mentored him because he was early in his product career and helped him. Although I guess I did too good of a job, because then they kind of gave most of the product work over to him, and he was kind of doing the day-to-day product, and I was supposed to do more of the bigger picture. And that's where I was kind of like, oh, I kind of like the day-to-day product stuff. I like being in there, getting my hands dirty with all of it.
Amazing. Okay. So what does that tell you?
Well, and that's where I've been trying to, like, do I want to be a product marketer or product owner or a technical product manager? And I think, as talking it through, I'm leaning more towards the technical product manager, working more with the teams, more hands-on with them. But I'm concerned that it's going to limit my career growth being on the technical side, because it seems to usually be a lower level position within the product management tiers, right?
So here's what I want to encourage you to think about more. Forget about the titles, right?
Yep.
Every organization classifies roles differently. From what I'm hearing is it sounds to me that you really enjoy being hands-on and being the decision maker on the product. You
Yep.
can still grow doing that. You can still grow doing that, and you can grow in a way where you are solving even more complex product problems. You don't necessarily have to be disconnected from the product in order to move up. Your scope can increase, or the complexity of the product increases.
Okay.
Now, here's a question for you. If you were making decisions on the product strategy, but not by yourself, with a team, would you have enjoyed that better?
I definitely. Yep. Yeah. Because I don't mind, like, working on the bigger picture items. Like, here's where we want to go, right? Here's the roadmap, and not the week to week or month to month roadmap, but here's where we want to take this product, right? Here's where we are now and what we want to do, and maybe new industries we can get in with this product and things like that. I definitely love it, but I definitely want to be with a team of people.
Okay, makes sense. And the organizations that you worked at, how big were they? Were they small, startups, intermediate, mid-size, large? What was
I
the
think I've really worked at 3 places throughout my career, and they've been one of each, right? So my first one was a large corporation, 5,000 plus. Um, the second one I worked at was more the mid-tier startup, so they're, kinda at the end. I think they actually might go public in the next year or 2, right? So they've kinda successfully made it through. And then the one I was just laid off from is, very early startup, maybe 80 people, but I would think now, after they did some layoffs in the spring and then they did some layoffs a month ago, they're probably down to about 40 people.
Okay. What size felt like it was the right size for you? The environment that, felt that was the right environment.
I really enjoyed different aspects of each of them, so I feel kinda open. I like the corporation structure and, like, process workflows. I'm very much a workflow person, or give me a template and let me fill it out, not kinda creatively come up with something on my own. So I like that about the checks and balances, but then you have all the red tape, right? And you can't, in product management, it just slows you down to a snail's pace, and then that gets super frustrating because you have these big goals and dreams for the product, and you just feel like your hands are tied all the time. And then the startup, there was like no organization. Everyone's going directly to the CEO, and then the CEO is talking to people and not going through you like he should be, or they should be, what have you. So it's like, I love the speed and the idea of coming up with new things there. So I guess talking through it with you just now, I think I would go more the mid-size. So you still have that speed and agility of a startup, but you have a little bit more security, and we were just starting to get into, okay, let's set up these processes. Hey, we have these committees to review what we're going to work on to make sure we're making the right decisions and in the right path forward. And you don't just have a dev team going and creating stuff, or a lone product manager, creating stuff that's not going to work with the rest of the company's offerings.
What would you say is your superpower?
I'm very organized, and I'm really good with coming up with ideas and solutions. So my husband even gives me a hard time because I'm like, "Oh, we should do this." And I talk about this grand idea of how we should, fix something or change something. But then my execution is not great. Like, I'm like, "No, I came up with the idea. Now here I want to hand it over to you to complete." Right? And I can help you complete it and be a part of that process, but the actual like hands-on part, not so much. Right?
Okay.
So I think that's I enjoy solving those problems. I love, doing puzzles and stuff like that. Like I love solving problems.
All
Yeah, and
right.
I think I'm pretty good at it.
I think there's a little bit imposter syndrome going on for you. Okay.
Oh,
I'll tell
yes.
you. I'll tell you, okay. You're limiting yourself. You're telling yourself the story that, you know, if I move up, I need to be disconnected from my team. I can't, be hands-on. And I feel like maybe is that element of fear with the whole strategy thing. I don't think that the issue was that you're not a strategic person. I think you're a plant, you're an ideas person, you're very creative. I think the issue for you is that you were not in the right, I will say, environment that put you in a position where you could collaborate with people, because you are very much a collaborator. Oftentimes, people feel that they need to go 180 in their career, but that's not always the case. Sometimes making a few changes will create a lot of joy for you. I honestly do not think that you necessarily need to move away from product management. You may have fell into it, and you might have started questioning, well, I just fell into it. I didn't really, was strategic about getting there. And maybe that thought is what may have be causing you to question whether you're in the right place or not. But I actually think that you are in the right place. You love solving problems, and that's what product is all about. And
Yeah.
you love, working with teams to solve these problems, and you love solving, problems to improve these products and create value for people. Okay? So I do feel that you're in the right field. I
Okay.
think what you need to change is find the right organizational structure that aligns with your collaboration style. So you
Yeah.
mentioned to me mid-size, maybe that is the answer. But it doesn't matter to me whether it's a large or mid or small organization. Although I do agree with you, for you, it should be mid-size or bigger. Um, it should allow you the opportunity to make decisions. It should allow you the opportunity to work with teams in a way that you're putting systems and structures in place, because there is that side of you who is structured and organized.
Mhm.
And that is what you need to focus on.
So
Whether
when
it's,
I'm like filling out my resume, like that's the pieces of my job description I should focus on highlighting.
I think that what is blocking you right now is finding the right role. I think you need
Yeah.
to be crystal clear on it. I think you need to find a job posting out there that you fall in love with, because you haven't found it yet. Once you find it, it's going to be easy for you to write your stories and to create a brand that aligns with it. But I think that's the main thing right now that's blocking you. Once you
Okay.
find it,
Yep.
you're gonna feel re-energized. But you gotta, make here's your little homework. Make a list of 10 things that you want in your next job. And I want you to categorize them, not just by these are the types of problems that get or the products that get me excited, but this is how I would feel excited waking up in the morning collaborating with people. I want a
Yep.
team that's this big, you know, this is how I want to help my team. This is how I want to show up for them. This is what I want to help them with in order for us to launch a kick-ass product.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Helpful?
Mhm. Definitely. Really appreciate the time and the
You're very
thoughts.
welcome. Awesome, my dear. All right. Thank you for sharing. All right. Who is next? I think that, let's see, Ravi's not here. Ravi, are you going by a different name? Wave at me if you're here. No? Okay. Who is next? Let me just. Oh yeah, you go by Nishant. I think that's your last name. I'm gonna bring you up on stage. All right. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. Uh, Tomorrow is my exam, that is certified procurement professional. So I was studying, so I was up.
Wow. And you're up pretty late too right now. What time is it where you're at?
It's almost 23 hours.
Well, I appreciate you, hopping in so late and allowing us to learn from you and what you're trying to solve here. Wonderful. So, when you reached out to me, you mentioned that you needed some advice on your LinkedIn profile. Is that what you want to focus on?
Yeah, on my profile and anything else which you can, if you can make out from my profile and my progress in career, if you can observe, you can tell me.
Absolutely. I promise I won't hold back. Okay. Tell us what your goal is. What are you trying to do with your LinkedIn? Like what is the ultimate goal here that you would like to achieve?
It's been 1 year and I didn't know what to do with my LinkedIn. I just followed some people who were making posts on procurement, and it happened to be Tom Mills, whom I followed. And gradually, within 1 year, I got 14,000 plus followers
Awesome.
and almost 7 million impressions. And I only make posts on my niche area, that is procurement. I didn't know what to do with it. I just posted, and the results came. I still don't know how to materialize it, but whatever I posted, people liked it. Uh, 7 million impressions, 14,000 followers, and lots of people across the world are reading it and are benefiting it from that. And I don't know how to leverage it, how to monetize it, but whatever I did, I got success on LinkedIn.
Okay, so let's talk about your definition of success. When someone looks at your profile and reads that amazing content on procurement, what ideally do you want them to do? What is your call to action? Do you want someone to purchase something from you? Do you want someone to hire you? What is it that you're
Yes,
hoping
I
to achieve?
want I posted it to showcase my expertise, and probably since I posted something which is educational for people who wanted to make a career in procurement, or who are already into procurement. I was expecting that they would ask me for help with some topics, actually some educational stuff which I wanted to do with them, or because of the expertise I wanted to come in the eyes of HR so that they hire me. There were two things which I wanted to do.
Got it. let's talk about which one is the higher priority? The hiring, HR hiring you, or people contacting you for coaching? Which one is it?
HR hiring is the priority.
Okay, wonderful. Good to know. Because I like to ask, because depending on what the higher priority is, that's what we want to mostly focus our brand around and make it obvious that that is what you do, that is what you offer. Okay, so you mind if I share your LinkedIn profile?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Share screen. There we go. Okay, so this is your LinkedIn profile. Awesome. So the first thing that I'm gonna say is your heading. I want you to think about it from a recruiter's mindset psychology, right? They are searching for someone to fill the role. And so they're going to search on title. So what are the roles that you're going after? Procurement manager? What are you looking for?
Procurement manager, senior manager, or vice president procurement.
Awesome. That's not in your heading. And so when I'm looking at your heading, I see raw materials procurement, I see project procurement, I see indirect procurement, I see contract management, and I'm thinking, well, what does he do? That's not
Okay.
obvious.
Okay. I thought that this is the place to display the skills.
No,
Like I was into raw material procurement, so I wrote that. So according to you, I should write what am I looking for, the positions.
exactly. So I'll give you an
Okay.
example. If I'm going into a directory, into a phone book, and I'm being old school now, please don't date me, the yellow pages, and I'm looking for a professional to hire, am I going to look based on their skill? Am I going to look at, heart surgeries, or I'm going to look for heart surgeon or, whatever, lawyer, right? That's what I'm going to
So,
look for. This is the same thing. Your heading, see, the thing is that you all are not aware of is recruiters have something called Recruiter Lite or some kind of basically LinkedIn interface that's specific to recruiters. They have a search engine where they search on people based on their titles. And so this part of your LinkedIn profile literally is what there is where most of the search matching happens. It's kind of like when you Google and you search on, I don't know, I'm looking for my brain is totally in vacation mode. So let's say funny cat videos. Okay. The pages that have funny cat videos as keywords are the ones that are going to be higher ranked. The more they say cat videos on their page from an SEO perspective, the higher the chance that this page is going to be displayed at the top. So for you, if I'm looking at it, you're telling me that you're looking for a VP or senior manager role, and I'm not seeing that you are a manager or like a procurement manager, then you're not going to be found. You're not going to appear in the search results when the recruiter searches on those exact keywords. And B, when the recruiter lands on your LinkedIn page, which is your storefront, they're not going to know what is it that you offer. So that has to be crystal clear. And I know there's all this stuff that influencers share. And this is why I was asking you, are you focused on landing a job, or are you focused on selling A, B, and C? And you said I'm focused on landing a job. And so that is the targeted advice I would be giving you if you were looking for a job. Okay? Now, you can still offer coaching on the side through your content. If you're creating content, mostly the people who would be interested in your services or in your coaching, they're going to get sold through your content, maybe a little bit on your heading. You could do a dual approach where you're saying, procurement, senior manager, vertical line, procurement coach, you could do that too, right? And then that way, like, people see, oh, he actually coaches people on how to get into this, but he also
So what you're saying is that instead of these raw materials, I should straight away write looking for senior roles in procurement.
looking for. Don't do that, because here's another thing. The best approach that I've seen that has worked for people is when they are being a little bit passive in their search, meaning you're looking in stealth mode. Doesn't matter whether you're employed or not employed. I want you to wear it with confidence. I feel like the reason a lot of people say looking instead of saying this is what I do is because of imposter syndrome. I truly feel that way. I'm not even going to argue with the whole green banner thing, because I think that's all nonsense at the end of the day. I think the root cause of the issue that people don't own what is it that they're trying to step into is because they have imposter syndrome. And so I want you to crush that. You told me that you grew your following to 14,000. You're a subject matter expert. That's it. Own it. Own it and wear it proudly in your heading. Okay? That's what I'm going to say. All right. The providing services honestly completely confuses me, because on one hand, you're telling me that you want to land a procurement manager role, or you want to teach people how to get into the field or be better at it. But all I'm seeing is business consulting, management consulting, project management, blogging and writing. The blogging and writing totally threw me off, because I'm thinking, oh, this guy's a blogger, right? So be a little bit more targeted around the procurement. See if you can find things that are specific, roles that are specific to procurement for you to list them in here. The consulting is fine if you're looking into going in as a consultant, but just this goes back to the same conversation that I had earlier, right, with Jesse, is that the biggest hurdle that people have is honestly not being clear and committing to what is it that they want, having a North Star and being focused in their branding, because we're sending mixed messages when someone is landing on our page.
To be honest, I will tell you what I want actually. Yes, I want the job. So the first thing which I am going to write here in the description instead of raw materials is that who I am, right? I am a procurement manager. Should I write that?
You don't need to say I am. Just put in your title, my friend. Keep it simple.
Okay.
Recruiters are gonna search on a title. They're not going to search on I am. You're wasting bandwidth here. Just put the title that you're targeting. That's all. Just like how I have career coach, right? That's it. Okay, so that's the heading. Now,
that's the heading. And after that, what do I do? Like I help organizations cut costs, and since you said that I am also into, I can be a coach. I coach people into procurement. That is a second priority, and that should be written afterwards. Is it so?
Focus on doing that through your content to bring in traffic for you. Okay? Show yourself as a subject matter expert. Write, like, think about what are the different mistakes that people make in procurement. You could create content around that. Not only is it going to show recruiters that you know what you're doing, but it's also going to get you, folks who would be interested in your coaching. I would not necessarily push hard on the coaching through the way you're positioning your LinkedIn profile, because that also might deter recruiters, and they might think, well, he's not looking for a job. He has a coaching business, right? I would get people, because you know that there are a lot of people out there who aren't necessarily saying that, hey, advertising their coaching, but because people tend to fall in love with their content and really look up to them, people will come to you themselves and say, hey, do you coach? Can I work with you? Can you mentor me? Right? So I
Okay.
think that positioning yourself as someone who is a manager and has a lot of experience, in procurement is what's going to help you get recruiters reaching out to you.
So now I understood that people would definitely come to me, because yes, I do get DMs for that
There
also,
you go.
because the content, the kind of content I am creating, and people engaging and having lots of impressions across the world. So uh, it's already seen by people that this guy is posting educational content or domain content, and he is having that reasonable amount of knowledge that he can coach others. But in the header, I shouldn't claim it. I should do what I actually want to do. This
Exactly.
is
Simple. So
Yes.
that someone who lands on your page knows what is it that you offer and what you do versus skills. If I put in my heading, resume writing, interview prep, blah, 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 who the heck cares about my skills? What is it, the one thing that I help people with, right? And people tell me when they find me on LinkedIn, they type in career coach, and I have those keywords in my heading. If you take a look, right? Obviously, I'm not looking for a job, so my situation is different. But all the people that I've helped land jobs, it's funny because they tell me all I did was change my heading, and all of a sudden I got a ton of recruiters reaching out to me. It's a simple thing you need to do, and it's going to make a huge difference. Okay, let's talk about your about and experience section. So there are two things that will cause a recruiter that will trigger a recruiter to contact you. We talked about you being found, right? But now we got to create stickiness, meaning that we want the recruiter to stay on your page and keep reading to the point that they'll be like, I'm curious about this person. I want to give them a call and talk to them about this opportunity that I have. Right now, when I'm looking, I don't get that sense. Why? Because you literally have this one position with 15 years and a single line and nothing about what you did.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I'm
So
sure,
should I list down the projects?
yes, yes, that's what you need to do.
Okay.
I really want you to get clear on the role that you're going after. Go look at job postings. What are the types of things that these companies struggle with? And pick, let's say, a few projects that are very similar and write about them. Tell me
Okay.
what problems you solved. Tell me a story of what problems you solved in these projects. What was the company trying to solve, the business goal that they were trying to solve? Tell me what is the win, even if it was small, even if it was just an incremental improvement. Tell me, what is it that you made, that you changed for the company? So that the
Okay.
recruiter looks at it and says, oh my God, that's exactly what we're trying to solve. I need to call him, right? So don't just list a bunch of skills like purchase management, machine learning, vendor management. Tell me a story about how you worked with a vendor and negotiated an amazing procurement deal and how that helped that company. That's what I mean when I talk about storytelling. See what I'm saying?
Yes. I should rather, like in my resume, I can
Your LinkedIn,
not only story, I will actually quantify the things. Like, for example, I dealt with, I added 200 vendors. I negotiated and saved costs up to rupees 1 or 2 billion dollars. These are the things which need to be there.
a
These
thousand,
actionable things.
1,000%. And don't just do that, but give me the context and the story behind it. Where was
Okay.
the company at? how did you change? How did you make their life better? Where were they at? And where were they after you helped them, right? So that's what you need to do, my friend. And that's going to create credibility and authority. You're creating credibility and authority through your content with people who are early in their journey. But the thing is, the recruiter is not going to necessarily see your content. This is not like Instagram, where someone goes on your Instagram and sees all of your different posts. LinkedIn works differently. You need to do that through your experience section and through your heading and through your about section, okay? To create
Yes.
that authority and credibility. So that's what you need to do.
Okay.
Helpful?
Yes, very much.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I'm sure a lot of people learned from this. Okay, wonderful. So we got Lindsay next. Lindsay, I'm so excited to chat with you. You literally like joined right before the live started. That's how organized you are.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, Nadia. Nice to meet you. And so far with everyone's discussions, I've been writing stuff down and learning a thing or two of how I can also update my LinkedIn and different things as well. So
Awesome.
how would you like to start? Do you want me to just talk, or do you want to ask me any questions?
Yeah, so I have a few questions for you. And by the way, folks, like I can send you all, if you DM me later on, I can send you all an in-depth training on LinkedIn. I did a training, I will say a couple of months ago, probably, on how to optimize your LinkedIn so that it's a recruiter magnet. We went through it in detail. So if anyone wants it, make sure that you send me a DM after this live. Maybe even just give me a thumbs up right now so that we can reach out to you and share that with you. Okay, wonderful. So let's see. Let's start with, what is the goal that you're trying to achieve right now?
Well, right now, I took a break. So I left my previous employer in the beginning of June, and I was working around the clock. Like I was working a lot, like 50 hours a week, and it was too much. I needed to kind of stop, reset, and look to see what is the better fit for me going forward. So I took a break and I started applying to new positions, I guess, in the end of October. So I wasn't really applying, and I was open for work during that time between June and October. And I got a little bit of hits from recruiters, but nothing like extreme. And I didn't really follow up. I said, oh, I'm not really looking right now. I'll follow up with you when I am. I don't want to waste your time. I had a couple of interviews, and they were close, but it didn't really amount to anything. But during that time, I really focused on accumulating certificates or designations that I didn't really even know existed when I was working at my previous employer. I was heads down and doing work and utilizing, I guess, all the theories, the theory behind those certificates, but I didn't know they existed. But in doing them, and looking at everybody's LinkedIn, I realized, hey, everybody has all these shiny certificates that I don't have. So I think I stumbled upon a post that you made about certificate bragger, or are you a bragger? And I'm like, maybe I am right now, but I'm not. But I read that and it kind of resonated with me, because I'm like, oh, does she have a point? Am I like, oh, look at me, I have all these certificates that kind of everyone does have, but I was like, I felt a bit that I was lacking, right? That I didn't have them. And to get through the ATS screening and to get my resume actually looked at, I'm like, I think I need these things, right? And also too, I guess I also have a bit of imposter syndrome, and I feel like I am lacking because I don't have my BA. I went back to school while I was working at Sun Life long ago. They had a program. So I believe I have, 7 or 8 courses. And then when I was at my previous employer, they really wanted you to focus on project management. So I went to Ryerson. At the time it was Ryerson, and I obtained a project management certificate. But then I got pregnant and married, and I had 2 kids, and I didn't get my PMP. I was on the track to do that. So I am kind of strategically for 2024, I have 2 kind of harder to obtain certificates on my, I guess, my learning and development crusade that I'm on, the PMP, and also I'm going to take the DMA BOC, the data. Oh my God, I can't even remember what it's called, but data management fundamentals. So I'm working with a team of 3 other people who I've met over LinkedIn to obtain that one, which I'm excited about. And I'm also thinking of going back to obtain my BA because it's kind of a.
Okay, Lindsay,
Go ahead.
I'm positive because we're talking
Yeah.
way too much about certifications.
I'm sorry.
You know that I'm a little allergic to that stuff.
Yeah, I noticed
I
from the post you made.
I have a gazillion certifications, but anyway, let me ask you this. What is your goal? What do you want to do? Why are you doing all these certifications? To achieve what?
I guess I feel that I won't get the job, like, because I don't have them, right? Like,
And
I have
what is the job?
sorry,
What
go
is
ahead.
the job that you want to get?
Well, and someone else had said to me too, I'm kind of a Jane of all trades, right? And that's
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. Trust me.
Yeah. So, what Jessie was saying at the beginning of this conversation, right? Her career progressed kind of organically with mine as well in the last 14 years working at a large company. I went from temp, analyst, specialist to manager,
And I knew that company, as you know.
Yeah. So, but I thrived for a really, really long time, right?
Yeah.
But
and that type of company inevitably puts you in that position where you called it a Jill of all trades, right? You wore so many hats because that's the nature of the organization, right? And so, do you feel like
so
what the next step is for you?
I feel that I need to narrow down what I want to progress in. So if it's either knowledge management or if it's project management or Scrum Master or data governance, right? So I am having a difficult time picking from those 4 streams because I don't want to limit myself either in terms of, because yes, I want to be happy. I want to have a career that I can thrive in, but I also have to pay my mortgage. So I do need to find employment, and I would like to find employment in the next, I'm trying to be realistic, 6 months, right? And if it happens sooner, great. But I'm really going to try to put the pedal to the metal and really apply aggressively come January, after applying all of the things that I've learned from this conversation of my LinkedIn and telling the appropriate story. Because I do think I have been doing myself a disservice in terms of my LinkedIn and maybe even on my resume as well, right?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you a few things, right? I'm gonna tell you a few things. So the first thing that I'm gonna say, and this is something that I learned from a neuroscientist, is that oftentimes we avoid doing certain things or avoid certain emotions because they're too painful. So we end up adding more to our plate. And this is something, I'm not saying that you necessarily fit into that bucket, but the reason I harp a lot on certifications, not because they're a bad thing. I think it's always good to learn new things, but it becomes something that doesn't do us a service when we are taking these certifications to avoid a painful emotion. That's why people procrastinate. People procrastinate to avoid a painful emotion. For me, a painful emotion is boredom. So I will avoid whatever I can avoid just so that I don't get bored. I will pay the tax penalty just because doing my taxes is boring to me. That's how painful boredom is for me, right? And I believe that sometimes people do certifications to escape facing a certain emotion. And I think for you, it might be a little bit painful figuring out what is it that you want to do.
Mhm.
So you might have gone into this rabbit hole of certification because it's a little bit soothing and comforting, exploring all these different options through the certification channel. But what it's actually doing is it just enabling that feeling of let me just, keep learning and being a jack of all trades versus let me figure out what my next step is.
Mhm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's that, like, it's keeping myself busy, and I feel
Correct.
like it's productive procrastination in the sense it's productive procrastination, and also too probably it's being bored. I don't like being bored, so this is something to placate that, but also to the avoiding. I guess the difficultness of applying for jobs and the rejection, right? Since I'm not looking forward to that at all, right? Because it
Yeah.
has happened even in a small snippet. It has happened, and I know it's realistic. I know it's going to happen, but it's very difficult to, I guess, process, especially knowing that it's going to happen. It potentially could happen. I don't know, like if I apply to 100 things, I could get 100 rejections. Like it's at that
Yeah.
scale.
So
Yeah.
it's painful. It's
Mhm.
painful facing that. And so we're distracting ourselves with all these certifications and telling ourselves the story that we need to get a degree in order to be successful and all this stuff because it's just less painful approaching it that way. I totally get it.
Mhm.
But I think that you don't need to put that much pressure on yourself in the sense of trying to perfect what that next move is and not just do a quick win as you pay the bills. What if you just did a lateral move or something similar to what you were doing in your last role as a contract, as an example, just to
Mhm.
pay the bills while you figure out the longer term strategy? Plus, you've been in the same company for 13 years. I would think that you're tired and maybe you need a little bit of a break where you're not putting that much pressure up. I got to move up.
Mhm.
I got to get that ultimate role. I got to do this. I got to do that. When we're operating in this mode where we need to survive, right? It's really hard for us to aim for that self-actualization. We got to meet our basic needs first and then aim for
Mhm.
higher. So my advice to you, you can get a job easy, okay? You worked at a company that is built on networking. Probably contact a whole bunch of colleagues from other offices and network with them. They may have, friends at other organizations and you can easily get that job. I don't think that's the problem for you.
Mhm.
I think you can do that easily and use the rest of your brain capacity to strategize on what that next role is for you. Does that make sense?
Mhm. So I just kind of have to overcome the fear. Like I just have to
You need
step
to
above
overcome the
it in
fear
order
and
to
stop
start.
running
Yeah.
away from it. You need to answer that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
There's no trying to get
Mhm.
certifications and clean your whole house to avoid answering that question. That
Yeah.
question needs to be answered. And you and I can touch base later on as
Okay.
well. Okay?
Okay. Great.
Is that
Thank
helpful?
you. Yeah. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay, the next person is Fabio, bringing you on stage, my friend. How are you doing?
Hello, fine, thank you. And firstly, hope you're enjoying the holidays, and thank you for having me on your podcast.
Absolutely. Thank you
Angela.
for joining. All right. Um, the stage is yours. You ask me whatever question you want to ask me and what you want to focus on, and I'll try my best to help.
Okay, so it's really interesting. I was listening to some of the previous conversations, and you mentioned things like imposter syndrome, which is something I definitely did suffer with when I've been in my current role for 2 years. So I would say for at least the first 6 to 7 months, there were quite a lot of imposter syndrome feelings going on. So that was interesting. And then LinkedIn, I've neglected my LinkedIn profile a bit for the last couple of years, so to speak. But what I have noticed is that I really love my job, my role. I'm an agile coach. Okay, I fell into the industry kind of by chance, and ever since being in it, I just soaked it up. I want to know more and more of it, and I love what I do. I love helping people. I love working with teams and helping people solve their problems. And I don't mean I solve them for them, but helping them actually see how they can solve their problems. And when I get a real kick out of that.
That's true, coaching, my friend.
Well, what I notice is that when I'm working with teams and with some senior leaders, but in the hierarchy above the team level, there's only so much help you can do. There's only so much that they can control or influence to make their situations better. The real changes happen further up the chain. And what I'd like to do is aim or direct my career upwards, not necessarily in terms of my hierarchy and my status, but in being able to influence or be that silent influencer with people that are really making those changes, those decisions that make those important changes. So eventually, coaching execs and the likes. So it's how do I navigate that way?
What's stopping you from doing that right now?
Well, to be honest, I would say a little bit has been me being complacent for the last while, and things are happening at the moment that means it almost like a kick up my backside, right? That is going to force me to say, you know what, you've really got to start thinking about this properly. It's quite a difficult time at the moment. I've been looking around, speaking to recruiters in terms of the agile world, and that's where my stance is with my profile and everything. I would be going as an agile coach. I see the next step as being an enterprise agile coach. And I've been doing elements of that role already in my current role because we haven't had an enterprise agile coach. So I've had to split what I do, which is great for me to put on my profile. But I just see a little bit of a dip and downward sentiment with even the word agile.
Yes.
You see, over the last 2 years, I almost feel like that many organizations have taken, we're going to be agile. We want to deliver fast. In fact, that's all they say. We just want to deliver fast. And they don't talk about the quality aspects per se. And think they just, okay, we're agile. We've changed our processes. We're running Scrum. We're doing sprints. We're agile now. But they don't really see that to get the benefits of agility, it takes quite a long time. It takes some really profound mindset shifts in people. So looking around the market, it's a bit tough at the moment to know which way to navigate, even if it's a slight sideward step, to then help project me on that career path without going downwards. A lot of people are looking for Scrum Masters, which I enjoy doing, but I don't see that as moving forward for me.
Here's a question for you. Why do you enjoy coaching?
I love psychology, but I love helping people out. I've always been somebody that has enjoyed helping people. Even before I got into this industry, growing up, I was always that friend in the group that people would go and talk to if they had a problem or an issue. Eldest child of the family as well. I was always that child that my family would come and talk to about any issues or problems. So I've just naturally had an affinity for wanting to help people with their problems. And I love the fact that I don't mind what sector it is, whether it's financial services or whether it's utilities or telecommunications. I love solving problems. I love helping people solve problems and giving clarity. That's what I really enjoy doing. And I also think that I learn a lot when I speak to people and learn about their problems and help them with solving their problems. I grow quite a lot as well, and I enjoy that aspect. It gives me another perspective to looking at things. And I think that not only by coaching execs or those people that really actually make the major decisions, not only will it help solve problems for the teams lower down, and which I would love to see, I think there's so much I could learn from them as well, because they've had quite a career to get to where they've gotten to. It would really propel my growth onto another level. But it's just, how do I get that in and project myself?
So thank you for sharing. And here's what I'm thinking. This is why I always challenge people. Oh, I need this title in order to coach upwards, or I need this title in order to do these X, Y, and Z. And that's not necessarily true. And you don't need to be in a specific profession in order to do the things that you enjoy. I'll give you an example. Okay, I've always wanted to be a teacher since I was a kid. Okay. Do I need to be a teacher to teach people? Not necessarily. I'm teaching you now. I'm teaching people now. Okay. So we got to just, see what the best pathway to help us get to where we want to be. There are multiple pathways. It doesn't have to be one. I agree with you, and people will come at me, the folks who are in Agile, and probably slap me on the hand for saying this. But, one of the wisest things that any mentor has ever shared with me, as someone who's been in very tricky engagements with clients, is, how can you say this without saying the word Agile? Okay. How can we help people see the benefit without using the word Agile? Okay. I think your bigger purpose is not necessarily that things need to be done in an Agile way. I think your bigger purpose is helping people, is creating a great culture, is reducing the friction so teams deliver what they need to do and feel empowered. I would look into any roles that are relevant to change management, because ultimately, as coaches, we are trying to create change so that people feel empowered. I would look for more senior roles within that space that would allow you the opportunity to be in large programs and work with leadership. I would look into the people and culture space or organization and design, space, where you have the opportunity to put some systems in place that will create a better culture across the organization, and also design teams in such a way that there are not in silos. Those are super out of the box ideas that are not necessarily pinned to Agile and allow you to work in the enterprise level. Within the Agile world, to me, the title is not what is what makes a difference. I feel there is an element of imposter syndrome for you. Maybe you are worried about using the word enterprise when you haven't had the title. I say screw it and do it because you've been doing it anyway. And I want you to feel more confident when you're having those conversations with recruiters, and really dig into the invisible work that you've been doing that wasn't necessarily pegged to your title.
Okay, interesting. I agree with you about the title, by the way. I have spoken to a recruiter recently, and they did ask me and said, well, this title doesn't really sound like it might be a step down for you. And I said, look, I really don't care what the title is. Talk to me about what the role is and why you need this particular role. What will I be potentially doing? That's what I care about. But yes, I agree. I agree. There definitely is a bit of imposter syndrome there. It's just been a tough year. That's all. It's been a very tough year. A couple of situations that might have knocked my confidence a bit through time, but I've picked myself back up and I'm raring to go, so to speak. Really.
Yeah. So that's what I advise you to do, and we can definitely touch base afterwards as well.
Yeah, I'd really appreciate that.
You're very
as well as any help with my LinkedIn profile that you mentioned earlier. That'd be really great.
absolutely. All right. Chris, we don't have a ton of time, but I'm going to try my best and maybe we can get you on the next, episode.
I apologize. Something came up with my family, and then I thought it was 12:30. So I do sincerely apologize. As soon as I got home, I put my laptop on and got on here, and I've been on here for the last half an hour.
No worries. Tell me a little bit about what you're trying to solve, and then if we can't answer it right now, I will bring you on the next one and we'll answer it. But let's get started in getting to know what is it that you're struggling with.
I am trying to get into the radio industry. Obviously, I was in security for 23 and a half years. And to be honest, I was about 2 weeks away from resigning when my former company fired me for stopping somebody from drinking and driving. So that's going to go to court arbitration and hopefully be resolved in the next month. I don't want to go back in that industry. For the last 4 years, I've been working on a new career in the radio industry and media, and I've done almost 400 podcast shows. And what's hurting me is I think my age being 51, and I didn't go to school for broadcasting. I went to school for law and security, but I've been self-teaching myself. And between all my social media sites, I have almost 10,000 followers, but a lot of these radio stations don't seem to recognize podcasting as radio, and it is the future of radio is live streaming like we're doing now.
Absolutely.
So and my mindset too. I'm trying to keep a positive mindset, but I've had some successes, but I just feel a lot of these radio stations don't want to see the fact that I can have great conversations and produce good shows, and I'm self-taught. And don't get me wrong, education's important, but I just feel there's some professions where if you self-teach yourself, you work your butt off. I don't know why somebody can't give you an opportunity.
I hear you and I agree with you. What's the platform where you have the largest following? Is it LinkedIn or is it somewhere else?
I would say right now, LinkedIn number 1 and TikTok number 2.
Okay. And how many followers do you have, Chris?
On LinkedIn, 2,100 on LinkedIn, and TikTok, I'm at 1,807.
Okay. So if the fans vote that your content is amazing, that's what's going to get your ticket in the door. We got to get your following. We got to show them that you have a big enough fan base so that they give you a chance. If I were to go today with my following of 27,000 and convince a producer to give me a chance, they're going to say no. I would need an extra 0 to be able to do that. Know what I mean? And so you got to figure out how to get your following massive. You got to really spend time figuring out what is it that people are interested in order for me to get enough votes and turn that into a reel so that I can pitch it. That's your homework, and we're going to talk about it a little bit more.
Okay, I love my sports. I love my sports, but I've had a lot of guests from other professions. My show is diverse with guests and subjects, and also too, Nadia, I've learned how to now do video editing into clips in reels because I know that's what people want nowadays is 30 seconds to 1 minute shorts. So yeah, I'm willing to keep working. I have to look at this way. 4 years ago when I started this, I didn't have any followers. So I've gone from 0 to 10,000. So I have made some progress, but I guess it's going to take a little more time.
Yeah. And sometimes the things that we're doing at the beginning to get us to a particular point of following don't have to be the same things to help us, become exponential. Like for me to go from 0 to like whatever, 15,000 is not the same thing that got me from 15,000 to 27,000, right? And so I really want you to maybe spend a little bit more time doing a little bit of analysis. what pieces of content have been getting me the most likes? Am I being a little bit, blind when it comes to doing things that I enjoy, but not necessarily what my audience seems to enjoy the most? So think about those two questions, and we will get you on in the next episode. I'll DM you behind the scenes to make sure that we bring you on as a next guest to do a
Okay.
sample. All right?
And I've had my cover letter and resume done 3 times in the
I
last year.
don't even want you to think about your cover letter and resume right now, because that's not the problem.
Okay.
I think figuring out what you need to get into and creating that fan base is what's going to be most helpful. I don't think they're going to care about your resume. They want to see proof that you'll have a show that's going to be popular.
Okay.
Okay?
I have tripled my YouTube subscribers in the last couple years. I don't have a lot, but I've tripled them, so that's a positive too.
Okay. So
So-
maybe figure out, go do audit your YouTube. Your homework for the next call is audit your YouTube and show me your top 3 performing ones and articulate why you think they're top performing. What made people think that they're the best? Even if you have to go to some followers and ask them some questions, say, hey, how come you like this? What made you, tune into this versus my other content?
Okay.
That's my
Yeah.
little assignment for you.
Okay. I'm gonna let you go, but I apologize for being late. But
Don't
I apologize. It's just it was a family thing, and
Okay.
I want to come on. But I would like to do another video chat with you in the future.
Absolutely.
And what I'll do is I'll go through my YouTube and I'll go through my top 3 episodes, and I'll send you a message as well. But I want to say thank you for giving me some time out of your day. And I'm going to get into radio. It's just a matter of time.
You
I
will
just
do
have
it.
to.
I
Yes.
believe in you.
Okay.
All
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Send me a DM if you want to be a guest, and also send me a DM if you'd like some of my trainings on how to optimize your LinkedIn. Have a great day, everyone.
You too. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.